Last on the journey, I speak to Jennifer Cochrane, who has a new business called Getahead, and it's all about mental health in hospitality. So I'm delighted to say I'm joined by one of my oldest friends in the industry. Jen, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. We're just talking off camera that we haven't seen each other for about 5 or 6 years.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I mean, we used to see one another regularly in nightclubs and festivals and out and about, but it's been a while. Yeah, it's good to see you. And
things have changed now for the both of us. Why don't you tell me about what you're doing right now?
So I have always, as you know, been working in the music industry, running events and festivals. About four and a half years ago, that all kind of changed for me for a number of reasons. I fell pregnant with my daughter, and I guess that for me was the initial linchpin of wanting to kind of slow down a little bit and not have the crazy travelling lifestyle anymore. That coupled with I was working at an organisation called AEI Group, a big music company I'd been at for almost 8 years, who were, I guess, for a music company, fairly progressive in employee wellbeing. So my role transitioned around the same time into more of a kind of head of people and culture role. So my responsibility was looking after the team, implementing kind of best practice and new strategies for them. So I mean, that looked like everything from bringing in yoga to the office every week, catering some healthy snacks for them, doing some meditation courses, kind of just being a bit of a, well, I'd always been the mum of the company, but doing it in a more kind of professional capacity. And then in 2017, a friend of ours who himself had hit massive burnout, he was a tech entrepreneur, and he came to us and said, you know, we want to do something, we want to give something back. We were at a point in the company where we were ready to do something a little bit bigger with more of a purpose. And at that point in my career, I was ready to kind of take the leap and do something different. So we launched Getahead. So Getahead initially was coined as the world's first urban 24-hour festival of the head. The concept was initially that we would run a festival in London, which was centred around health, development and fun. So sober rave in the morning, and daytime talks, panels, workshops, some stand-up comedy, massage, all these great well-being kind of initiatives, and then a big party in the evening. And if that wasn't enough to bite off that straight away, we set out on an ambition to set up a record label as well. So we launched Getahead Records and put out an album with one of the chaps who used to be in Pendulum, and we had tracks donated by The Prodigy, Chase and Status. All of the big bass acts in the industry believed in the cause that we were sort of setting out to achieve, and they gave us tracks. So we launched an album. June 2018, launched the first festival, and what was a bit of a crazy experiment was an enormously successful event, and the amount of people that just gravitated towards and wanted to help, and we realised the amount of goodwill there was around mental health. For me personally, I had my own personal reasons for wanting to understand more about mental health and how to help and give back. And you know, having worked in the music industry, I've seen so many people burn out, whether it's through drink or drugs or working long hours or just burning the candle at both ends. So from my point of view, it was time to kind of have that voice and do what I could to help.
When you're talking about it, you're actually beaming, you're glowing, you're so passionate about what you're doing right now. It's completely different from, we both have been in clubland and running events for nearly a decade, that me personally anyway, and for you to be doing this different now, this mental health, well-being, it's just fantastic. And do you love it?
I love it, love it. I've been working in music since I was 17, so that's a very, very long time. And I've always loved it. It's always been my sort of passion and what's driven me. But I think when you get older, your priorities change as well. I think being a mum also changes you, same as you with your daughter. And I think that just seeing the transition in so many people that I've cared with and worked with over the years struggle and not know where to go. So it's like, well, there's loads of great initiatives within the music industry, and there's lots of events and there's lots of conferences, but there was nothing in the marketplace like Getahead, which was accessible. It was non-scary when it came to talking about mental health. So I think a lot of people who may be struggling, first of all, they don't know how to get help, they don't know where to go, and they're scared of putting their hand up, because not so much today, but you know, 3 years ago when we launched this, it still was taboo. So for us, it's about destigmatizing it. It's about making it an accessible conversation and getting people in a room with like-minded people where they feel it's a safe space for them to talk, share, listen, learn, and hopefully, you know, get some help. You know, so I mean, the first festival we did was an enormous success, and you know, off the back of that, I think what we realised was that we'd actually kind of inadvertently launched a bit of a workplace wellbeing conference. So that got us thinking about how else we could develop this brand. Started working with some fairly big clients, helping with them with their sort of employee wellbeing strategies, helping them with a lot of kind of toxic work culture and organisational change. Fast forward 2 years, we did the festival again last year, and fortunately it's on hold at the moment this year.
Of course.
But that's given me the opportunity during lockdown to really focus on what the corporate wellbeing side of things looks like. So having left full-time employment last year and setting it up as my own business, I have now launched, well, in the process of launching officially the corporate wellness business, which should go live this week, next week. It's called Work Inspired.
Amazing.
It follows the same pillars as Getahead: health, development, fun, but also training, because we offer a lot of mental health first aid training for the workplace and beyond. So it's really, it's aggregating together all that brilliant talent that we've developed over the last few years, you know, performance leadership, performance management, well-being, health, coaching. You know, we work with world-class talent in those areas who are the heartbeat of what we do, you know, so I absolutely love it.
What's the biggest challenges that Getahead faces to grow?
Biggest challenges with Getahead at the moment: funding, resource. We are in the process of applying to be a charity for Getahead. It's currently a CIC, but there's a lot of challenges that come with that in terms of, you know, getting funding. Getahead fundamentally is an events initiative. So obviously, as we know all too well at the moment, clubs are not opened again. The venue that we host it at, O'Meara, they haven't reopened. So the challenge for us with Getahead is when we can hold our next festival. We're due to launch in Manchester next year. I've also got talks about launching a huge Asia Pacific version of Getahead in KL, Australia, Korea, with a big pool of promoters and people from the wellbeing space over there, and also Berlin. But all of it hinges on what happens with the pandemic. So I've been using this time to create content. We've been hosting some online virtual festivals, really trying to understand what people need during lockdown. And if I was to curate Getahead Festival today from scratch, the programming would probably be 50–60% different to how it would have looked had we launched it prior to lockdown. You know, people's challenges are different, people's needs are different now, whether it's, you know, support with finances, parenting at home. You know, statistically 1 in 4 people in the UK suffer from a mental health condition of some kind. You know, newer statistics will come out soon, and that'll be, you know, far higher after the pandemic, because it's hit people so much. So what's important for me is to make sure that I can continue to support people as much as possible through the talent we work with, through research, through supplying resources. As you know, we work closely with Mike and the NTIA team. We're working with them and how we can continue to support that network of nighttime operators. Similarly with AIM, the Association of Independent Music, we work with them on helping them with, you know, resources and mental health support. So it's a difficult time, but I feel, you know, it's a more relevant business than ever to be in now. People are going to need mental health support more than ever coming out of the back of the pandemic, and I'm just really pleased and proud it's something that I work in and I can help people.
It sounds amazing that you're doing this, and I'm sure there's so many people out there that would love to help, because I think if I talk about myself, when you're in that bubble of clubland, you are literally in burnout mode. Totally. You know, drinking 3 or 4 times a week, waking up and you're having to have another drink just to get back on and perform. And there must be so many people out there that are doing the same, but it's fantastic what you're doing. Just talking about the nightlife industry, you mentioned the NTIA. I mean, you are still one of the biggest names and characters in the nightlife business.
Thanks.
without you being in it now, people will come to you talking about your pool of promoters worldwide to create a huge event for your company. What do you think is going to happen to nightlife in the UK, because there's loads of venues shutting down? Government not really giving them much support. What's your personal opinion?
My personal opinion is if the government don't step in and offer a huge financial bailout soon, nightlife as we know it is never going to be the same again. You know, the amount of nightclubs, club nights, festivals, which are teetering on the brink of collapse at the moment. And it's mind-blowing that the government don't see, you know, nightclubs, festivals, you know, touring events like that as part of this arts and culture. You know, they're starting to now. Fantastic initiatives like the NTIA are obviously lobbying and trying to get that support for the nighttime industries, but it blows my mind that they don't see it as an important part of culture. You know, of nightclubs, you know, I worked for Ministry of Sound for many, many, many years, and you know, it's one of the most famous clubs in the world, as is Fabric, and you know, certainly London has so few nightclubs still operating that if the support doesn't step in soon, these clubs may never bounce back. You know, and for me, I even though I work in mental health now, I work in mental health to support the music industry and the creative industries. So it's of vital importance to me that that support happens soon, because it would be life-changing to see these venues never open again, you know, and festivals just never coming back.
Yeah, it's unthinkable, really.
Yeah,
but
totally.
It's realistic right now, isn't it?
Yeah,
with what's
absolutely.
happening?
I mean, we joke. I've got a little girl who's 4, similarly to your daughter, and since she was maybe 2, she's been sort of playing about with the decks in the house, and I joke. I'm like, you know, how can she be a superstar DJ if there's no clubs for her to play in? But it's the reality of the situation. Is you know, the money is there, but it seems to be too little and too late in a lot of cases. So I hope and pray that something does give very, very soon before it is too late.
Well, we're definitely going to share all your business profile and pages so people can check that out after. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you. I love that we've just reconnected, and what you're doing now. You know, Posh Cockney will certainly be behind it as well, so anything we can do to help. So thanks for coming on Posh Cockney TV.
Thanks, Liam. Thanks for having me.
See you soon. So thanks for watching Posh Cockney TV. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please subscribe below and hit the bell to be notified on future shows.